Alright guys, in this video we're going to continue the conversation that provides the definitions and explanations for some of the terminology and language that we use in the work of integrating the really important skills of dialectical behaviour therapy with the theories of personality that we get from schema therapy. Basically so we can support people with living the life we want to live by being the person they want to be in the areas of life that are important to them according to their true, authentic values and beliefs. Because everything we do in terms of dialectical behaviour therapy relies on our ability, capability and willingness to use the skills of mindfulness to notice the distress as it comes into our system in one of the 5 forms of coping mechanisms that we tend to exhibit when we're in a fear-based state. When we are then able, capable and willing to notice this distress, we can activate the most important skill in the dialectical behaviour therapy skills training program, which is the skill that's called stop. When we're immersed in the effective use of this skill, we stop, take a few deep breaths, and while participating in the deep breathing exercise, we go into the action that's essential for all of the work that we do. This action, when taken effectively, helps us to unblend from the part of our personality that's reacting to the distress that's present in our system. So today, let's have a conversation about the action that we call cognitive diffusion. Cognitive diffusion is an essential part of all the work that we do. It creates the capacity to unblend from a part of our personality that's reacting to the distress in our system in an old and familiar way. Without the capability to implement this part of the process, we simply fall into these old behaviours over and over again, then sit in a space that's often filled with a narrative of helplessness, self-pity, self-deprecation and even victimhood. When we're in this blended state, we're fused with a part of our personality that's usually thinking things like, man, I did it again, or I can't believe how stupid I am, or even, why are people always out to get me? It's all their fault. And as I've said in a number of different videos before, and even earlier on in this one, the most important skill in the dialectical behaviour therapy skills training program is the skill called stop. Stop, in its basic format, is intended to help us deal with the difficult situations by basically just not reacting, and using the skill this way will definitely help you to make things better. At the same time, as we grow into making the skills of DBT an essential part of our lifestyle, we can expand on this skill to increase its effectiveness. This is a demonstration of why I believe it to be the most important skill to practice building mastery for when we're actively participating in the DBT skills training program. And first of all, the effective use of this skill is predicated on our capability to recognize that our system is going into the distress of a fear-based state. This state is then the trigger for us to activate the stop skill, which then opens up the opportunity to communicate with the part that's attempting to dominate our thoughts, our feelings and eventually our actions. And it's also important to note that we predominantly do this work with a part which is usually one that's trying to take us in a direction that does not line up with living the life we want to live and being the person we want to be. Because after all, if that's not the case and the part that's active in our system is taking an action that does line up with living the life we want to live, then why would we be trying to change its direction at all? Cognitive diffusion is how we unblend from a part of our personality that's trying to take control of the metaphorical bus that we call our life. Diffusion means to separate two things that were once one. So cognitive diffusion means to separate from our thoughts, to observe that internal narrative and effectively unblend from the part that's pushing this narrative so we don't become the person that this narrative is trying to make us become. The effective use of cognitive diffusion is all wrapped up in our language and its implementation in the stop skill. When we notice that a part is present by the distress that we've become aware of, we recognize and acknowledge its existence by labeling it with non-judgmental language. Basically, from a DBT perspective, we observe and describe it non-judgmentally and effectively so we can sit in a space of observation rather than one of fusion. We let the part know that we see it in our system, we feel its emotion and we hear what it is that it's trying to say. We validate its emotional experience, not the action that it wants to take, by letting it know that we understand exactly why it does what it wants to do. And then at the same time, when this validation has been compassionate and authentic, we can educate the part on the impact of its actions and negotiate with it for what we want to do moving forward. This in essence brings us back in line with living the life we want to live by being the person we want to be. And then we can proceed with this new mindful awareness, taking actions that line up with who we want to be according to the values and beliefs that we hold at our core. And this means using the skills of DBT to support us with continuing our journey in this values-based direction. Now, if you're a person that wants to go to work on perfecting the use of the stop skill, I highly recommend you take some time to explore the videos and the worksheets for the RAAVEN exercise. I'll leave some links in the description below that'll take you to the pages connected to this particular skill. So in review, cognitive diffusion is the act of unblending from a part of our personality that's trying to dominate our system. This action is absolutely essential when there's a part that's trying to take us in a direction that's not in line with living the life we want to live and being the person we want to be. The effective implementation of cognitive diffusion is all wrapped up in how we use the stop skill. And the stop skill is most effective when the language we use is generated from the RAAVEN exercise. In actuality, the success of this skill is dependent on our willingness to practice and practice it. Then when you think you've practiced it enough, go ahead and practice it some more. Guys, if you like the content of this video, please subscribe to the channel, smash that like button and turn on those notifications to get all the latest from me and the Liberation Place. If you'd like to know more about what we've talked about here, come join the live online meetings that I facilitate each week for free on Zoom. I'll leave some links to the page containing more information about these groups in the description below. I hope this video helped to give you a solid understanding of what cognitive diffusion means and exactly how we use it in this type of work. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Take care, be safe, and be well.